Howdy, folks. Welcome to another day in the Milky Way, and today is Friday. Tonight, we got our returning guest, and I always look forward to this when we got our bi-weekly thing going on, and I know we've got a good show planned tonight. We're going to try to answer a few questions about the crystalline grid, but she's got a lot more information just as far as explaining the whole pattern. But first of all, we'll see who's joining us so far, and then we'll see how it goes. So far, who we got with us? Got Judith Nolan, Cheese State, Lori Chavez, Rebel Rose, Danny Skylark, JoJo. She'll be on with me Sunday night. We're going to do, Suji's going to do that shamanic astrology for the winners that we had for that. So that should be a pretty good show. It's going to be me and Suji and Johan and Butterfly Zaya, Divine Goddess, which just popped in too. And there's Jeannie Griffin and Steve, Slightly Slanted Sleuth for the Truth. So how's your week been going this week?
Mine?
Yep.
Mine's been just really hectic and busy, Brian, as we talked about, only because it's kind of holidays and I've had company for the past couple weeks. And so that kept me busy and really enjoyable, but lots of talks and, lots of things about the project and the Crystal Network and things happening. So, and we had during the last couple weeks also, we also had an international meeting. Just, I guess I can say that as part of people wanted an update as far as the Crystal Network. And so I was involved with the international team. We met on Saturday. And so we again talked and, more and more fine-tuned. And I was really excited because we got a new member for the international team from Poland. So I have somebody in Poland now and other places. So, we're really covering the world. Every time I turn around, somebody's entering and getting in contact with me about it, Brian. So just to let everybody know, we're in meetings just on Saturday. And then we're going to be starting the North American and more details about it in the upcoming weeks as well. So it was a really good set of meetings, that we had on the Saturday.
Good deal.
Yeah, so just busy.
Well, they're still rolling in. There's, let's see, Gerald Yates, Jeannie Griffin, Lila Star, OA, Morning Dew. I saw somebody else in there too, James LaCour, Dominic Spiotto. I think I'm saying that correctly. I'm not sure. I usually butcher names. I'm country. I can't help it.
Yeah, that's okay. No, it's perfect. Well, say hello to everybody for me. Of course, I don't have the chat up just because, technology, I'm limited here as it is. And actually, I'm not sure if I could do everything at the same time. And
to be honest with you, I know for guests, especially, I know you're not nervous, but like people that come on first time, I think it's better not to even look at chat. That way, because I know me when I'm trying to sit here and do a show and pay attention to people, but I try to follow chat more now too. It throws you off and you miss things. And, and that's why, I've been watching a few of Wayne's shows lately, and, I might say hi in the beginning, but usually I just drop out during the middle of the show and I don't really chat or anything like that, just because I'm trying to pay attention, and learn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he has so much going on right now. Which is interesting because I'll have to get a hold of Wayne again I'll have to go on the show soon to update about the Crystal Network on his show. And it's interesting that he's up to the sigils point. And when I look at everybody's sigils, it's interesting that they do fit right within the dihold and his system. If you look at everybody's sigils with their X and Y and actually the curves that are your courier wave in them and how they manifest out to, I've looked at them. It's really interesting. And they actually do follow the E8 emergence theory as well. If you look at these sigils, because that's what you're doing. You're actually doing a pattern with power that will create that and bring it into this manifestation into the physical world in this third dimension, like the dihold. So, I can see it right in the sigils, and they're going to be really important. That Wayne is doing them, especially all the protection ones and the personal ones and the different things as far as the Crystal Network and personal things as well. They're great to use. So I'm glad we're up to that, that he's up to that stage of learning,
We talked before, I think, but in this Crystal Network, I'll be I'm curious to find out after everything gets settled out and everything's in place, how close it follows the ley lines of Earth. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh
if there's
yeah.
grid work like that, and I know there will be.
Yeah, because actually, originally, I think in our history, we did have a crystalline grid system around that was destroyed or disturbed and broken up. And I think at that time, when we were captured, like I said, by the proto sun or by this new entity or this tyrant that holds us in this certain pattern, it was broken up, and that is our ley lines and systems. And that's why, if you know, like as a miner, I can tell you, of course, I know where the veins of quartz are. I know fault lines and ley lines, where you think I get my crystals, you know, and other in exploration. And I can give you an example too. The Camino Trail is one. So if everybody wonders why it's so powerful and why it extends along that ridge and why everybody has journeys and can connect, is because there's a huge quartz vein that still connects that hole underneath, right, as part of the crystalline original grid. But there are portions that are destroyed, and you know, from the past, from catastrophic events, both natural and by our own means with power that we've misused in the past.
Yeah.
Things up, and we've destroyed that, you know. So so what we're going to be doing basically is a crystalline system or a grid, and reproducing that, and like I said, mending or correcting and creating at a certain frequency or vibration that we can connect into, like I said, like a radio, or you know, when we fine tune a radio to a channel that we can all listen to and be on the same frequency. So yes, so everybody will be on the same frequency, and eventually people will raise their energy. And that's, I'm going to cover some of the about the energy system today in the body, as well as the planetary. I have some pictures to show, just hopefully explain more about the assemblage point and that point of awareness, because everybody needs to have strength in that in order to connect to the grid system and the crystalline system to journey together, which is the end goal. So
for some reason, and I don't know why, like I said, I've just started going things that pop in my head. But to me, I feel like after this is set up and in place, I believe that's going to open the avenues for telepathy.
Yes. Yeah. Because that you know, exactly. Because we will be connecting as a collective and opening everybody's individual systems, and I'm going to show, I have actual pictures for this. Energy systems will be open, right? And an open system in all your chakras, right? And what we're going to be doing and attempting to do all these months with everybody, including Wayne and myself, and what I talk with different tasks, is being able to move your assemblage points or point of awarenesses to certain access points on your auric field and gateways, and up to that fifth dimension where everything resides, and up through, and pull your astral body through the crown and up to, you know, that grid system outside that planetary system where that tyrant entity holds this certain pattern right now where we reside in place. So, you
know, let's see. Welcome, Albert Draper, but he says, how do you raise your vibrational awareness if you're hangry? He put hangry, but I'm assuming angry.
Angry, yeah. Well, actually, what we can do is, I might show the pictures and start sharing maybe, because, okay, now it's not just being angry with energy, right? With our energetic bodies, we just absorb, or, you know, energy.
Hold on, I'm sorry, but real quick. He said hangry, Hangry. I don't know what that means.
I'm not sure what that means either. You'll have to maybe expand on that a bit, but maybe we'll get into the pictures. And I think once we get into, I'm going to cover just some pictures I saw on another channel quick that has to do with our systems and die hold a bit, because I had them, but then I have the actual, our own body pictures of our system, and shows our chakras and what we're talking about, Rob and I, about what sits right above here as far as your gateway up through the fifth dimension, how, where it houses all our memories and access to the all time and everything that's existed that we've ever done and where everything resides. Okay.
Okay.
So let me see. I'll have to share, I guess, here. There.
We look good on mobile too. I don't know about all that.
Oh, can you see my screen? Did I share?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right. This is quickly, because I had picked these up quick. I wasn't sure exactly everything I was going to talk about tonight, but somebody on Rex's channel was on just recently, and I brought this up because we've been, in the past shows, we talked extensively about the Diehold Foundation and about the Tree of Life and the Rod of Power and what was in the chamber, and that it was actually electricity, right, and power and different things. So this person was going over the same things and about our system that we're recreating now. And this is our current cell towers that we have. Here's the plate.
Like here's the parallels there, that they look the same.
Yeah, and here's the plate, from the ancient ones with the two guys, and you got some creatures here, but here it is here, and your electric, circuits here, and definitely, I mean, it's the same thing. It's a power device. It's the rod of power. So let me go to another one. So then this is in real life, and they called that the Tree of Life in the chamber, right? With the Ark of the Covenant and Moses in the chamber, they call, and the whole thing about the Tree of Life. And no lie, here this guy's showing pictures, and these are fake trees, and they're hiding the towers in behind.
Yeah, I've seen those before.
Yeah, so here's our Tree of Life. Here's our communication systems. Here's our rods of power now for communicating, and we've got them as trees now. Look at this. And here's this one here too, and here's the tree. We got, it's our 5G or whatever we're going to be putting up to, to communicate, right? So I laughed about that. I had to show that because, and it's right within, if you go to Diehold, he explains it in detail, right, through his work. And so you can go back and check that we're actually replicating. Everything happens in cycles and patterns, right? And we are replicating the same setup that we did in the past, and had catastrophic events that we did to ourselves, right? And misused power in the past. Most people, Atlantis and different things. It was both natural and, we man-made type of things. So here it is again. Look at it. There's your middle, and there's your discharges. There's the two guy playing, with the power in the center. There's our cell towers. And I brought it back here to the Diehold, because he's talking about the exact same thing. This is the Ark of the Covenant. And apparently 5 of the items were actually found in the cave, and they actually put it on this back in the day, and he explains what it is. And here we have Faraday discovered with this mechanism that he could make perfect sound by ionized particles, and it became a speaker, and it's something called a flame or a plasma speaker that they created, and that's what the Ark is. And they actually found this device, you see with this blue, and it's known as the throne or the seat of the throne, and it's actually a crystalline blue power source, like a computer. And the tree that we show you is the power source, electricity. I think the 2 cherubs are like, the being, probably the human aspect, or sending the information back and forth somehow, through the word of mouth. It's going from one mouth to the other mouth. It is something that the Ark, this gold chamber, was the actual plasma speaker, and Moses or whoever could directly speak to God mouth to mouth then, or have access to that information through this power source and talk directly. And there was somehow 4 discs that came with it that were in the caves to begin with. So this was all part of Diehold's work, if you want to go back and look into it, because we had talked about it, Right. So that matches up with everything everybody else is showing anywhere about, those plates that show the Tree of Life and the chamber and the Rod of Power, and all of that definitely backs up that, about the information and some kind of information system with crystals, of course, the main main thing is crystals. You know what I remember too, Brian, that kind of, and TV's funny and shows. I can remember, and I didn't watch it often, but I remember catching that Stargate Atlantis thing. And there was some kind of chair in it or something. He sat in it like a throne as well to control or something in that show. It's that kind of reminded
Never
me.
did really watch it much.
No, neither did I. Kind of remind me of, sitting in, in the center of a computer and having control that way by directing power. And
Oh, I got a question real quick. Chloe wants to know, has anyone noticed if you're in an area with 5G for an extended time that it makes you full of anxiety? Actually, there was an experiment did when they were first experimenting with 5G that they did on cows. And they put 5G towers up at each corner of the big pen that they had these cows in. And when they activated the 5G, the cows were either just falling over or they were like getting anxious and like would charge each other. Some of them would just be lackadaisical and kind of fade out. So definitely 5G affects our bodies. Do you have any input on that?
Oh, definitely. It's affecting our electromagnetic fields. And actually, if she waits, I'll actually have pictures to show why it's affecting, and how that works, right?
Yeah.
And we covered it in some of the more of our scientific ones we did about the frequencies and everything. So definitely, it would make you definitely ill, or anxious, or all kinds of things are coming out from the technologies that we're rolling out. Including, like I said, if you looked at Dr. Tennant's, and I sent Brian and some other people, the Electric Universe, Dr. Tennant's, where he shows about the EMF in your electrical fields and how they're disturbed and how it causes tumors and cancer and all kinds of things, which it is. And so definitely. Here, let me change this thing. I can go back to the gyroscope about that.
While you're doing that, I've got a quick question for you. It's kind of off topic, but he asked it a while back. Albert Droper wants to know, is there any tips for expanding awareness and focus while in an OBE? I don't know I don't know about an outer body experience. I know during astral travel maybe, but yeah, do you have any tips on that?
Yeah, we probably would get into it after my diagrams here, actually. And let's do this, and then I'll answer the questions because this shows the fields. And actually, I might start where I was here and then get to that because it'll kind of make sense.
Okay.
Kind of, I think, because I apologize because actually I was supposed to do the show with somebody else, and so who had the same kind of knowledge and actually mentioned which was a good word for our systems and how we move around within our cosmic eggs or energy, bodies that are kind of like egg shaped. And it's true. And it's like we're sitting in a gyroscope. Okay. And so that, as I described before, our energy systems, and it's toroidal, and they come in from the top and around and circular, and the main fibers come out through our center that where our main power spots, where we actually connect to everything, and where we actually, it's called our assemblage point, and it is our point of awareness, it's called. Okay. And it's that assemblage point that moves around our auric field like a gyroscope. It's 360 and moves with us all over the place, right? Like you have to picture that, and I have to show you. And that like a gyroscope, and we're in the middle, and that assemblage point, if you can move it freely and you have enough energy, meaning your chakras are open and you use your fibers or tentacles, you can actually have control and move your assemblage point or point of awareness to any spot on your auric field and have access to all time or all your memories or all your lives or everything that we know, and have access to that. And that's where you get your direct downloads and information and connection to your higher self. So it's the ability to move your assemblage point freely. And same with when you go into dreaming with your light body or astral body, or astral traveling, it's the ability and the power that you have with that assemblage point, and the ability to move it, actually, that will give you the power and how far you can travel and go, within the layers. Now, the reason I have this is because I put it up because one time I was flying, and I asked the pilot about how they navigated, if that makes sense. And they don't use they use a compass, a gyroscope compass, a directional gyroscope, which doesn't have to do with the magnetics on the planet, and it has to do with felt by pressure, he told me, because I actually asked the pilot after a trip one time. And so when the pressure changes with the various levels of the clouds, the gyroscope measures that or feels that pressure, that interaction, and that helps them direct where they fly, and it turns on the other pointer over here to the degrees they go. So we're kind of like this in our own flights, and I'm trying to explain, like, even when we're airborne, we sit within our own 360-degree gyroscopes, and our soul, we're in the middle, and we direct that out from our solar plexus just like a plane. And we do that on this plane, in the physical plane, where most people can't see, but we can definitely, once you get to the astral plane, where you can see your energy bodies, you can actually see yourself sitting in your bubble or sitting in your gyroscope. Okay.
Right.
And you
I can totally
actually
see that.
Yeah, and you actually manipulate a 360 degree of everything, and you don't move in the middle, but everything moves around you. And everybody's bubble is side by side, okay? And we're all sitting touching each other, if you know, and have access to each other. And I'm just showing you, this was where I showed the plane, and you can actually see by the millibars is the pressure, and by each foot, and that's where the pressure causes the gyroscope to change and tells them which height and their direction where they go. I brought this up again because here's Alice in Wonderland, okay? And people talk about lately fairy tales and all these stories and how important they were, especially this one in particular. This was Alice in the Looking Glass. This is the time guy. I've only seen the movie once, but it's just because Rob mentioned about the gyroscopic aspect. And here's time, and here's the big clock, and this was called the grand time clock or something, the grand thing. And here's the clock master of our world. And here he's got a clock in his chest, and it's a gyroscope. It's a gyroscopic clock. And this is supposed to be the main time guy within our, where we live, within our universe that holds our time. And here I had to show this within Alice and this one, because what is she in? She's in her gyroscope. Chronoscope or whatever it's called, and there she's in the middle. This is like us, exactly. And she's gotten in this thing, so she's traveling through time and space in that movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this is what we're doing, and we actually have our eggs are like this with our auric fields, and it acts like a gyroscope around, and we can move our assemblage point from the middle and go to any position within our egg or within our bubble and grab information. I have a picture here. Okay, see, there's our toroidal field.
Yep.
Here's our energy field. The reason I brought this one again, because on that, whoever Rex had on recently, just with those other pictures again, everybody talks about, well, love's the answer, love's the key, you got to go from your heart and all of that stuff. And I actually like this picture, and I've got to show a couple of them, because where does it show your power spot? Is it in the heart in this picture, in an actual field here in the toroidal? No, it's coming from your center. It's coming from your fibers that come out from the middle, like when we're created, where our umbilical cords are, and all of our power comes out and connects to the world through that, not your heart. The heart's a pump. Yeah, it's important. I'll get into that, but no, it's there. The power resides there. That's where we control everything. And there's another one. Here's another picture that somebody did. Again, right in her middle, right? She's showing energy spots, yes, on her wrists and up in her third eye, of course, but of the importance of the one coming out from the middle, from your center, okay? I like this picture because Rob and I both have experienced, as you know, with our astral traveling, when you get to the point of seeing that bubble of the fifth dimension right above you, that when your energy body comes out your crown, in this fifth dimension right here, and they even say right here, the ninth chakra, it's let's see where, no, right here, the eighth, showing the disc right above the head, right here. See this? And that's just right above. And it actually says that's where it houses all your memories. That's where it says it's the immune system, and it says memory retrieval function system.
I wonder if that's the Akashic, is that people's.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to state again about it. It's true. The Akashic records, people think that it's under the pyramids and it's hidden somewhere under the ground or somewhere, but no, our records are housed right there in the fifth dimension. Actually, they come from the higher up. They come from the top where it's showing this ninth one here down into the fifth, and then once it comes in, it expands around each of our auric fields, but they're ours. And that's the Akashic records, and each one is held within each of our fields. We have access to everything we've ever experienced and everything we've ever done, or memories, or everything you could ever know is housed within that. We have access to that. But not many people have enough power to realize that, or to move the point of awareness or assemblage point, because most times it gets stuck in patterns, right? And that's where illness and disease comes from. We get stuck in childhood memories, especially when it's abusive or negative, or people get caught in the emotions and they get stuck there on their auric field in those emotions. And so that their assemblage point always wants to move to that spot, and it's stuck there all the time because they have blocks within their chakra system. So your chakra system has to be fully energized and open, right? And especially the one in the middle, to have access in your 360-degree gyroscope access and your whole bubble around, to have access to everything, and to have access to the fifth dimension, all your memories, access to your higher self, your light body, and then to be able to go across the veil and to the higher grid system that we're in, that we can see once you get above to a certain point in your astral traveling and your energy. And you can see that so above, so below, our little egg systems look exactly like the bigger grid system as you go up. It's just bigger and larger, right? But they're the same, right? We all have these little points of energy on our own systems, right? Mm-hmm. So now the other thing I wanted to talk about, that I thought about actually, about our energy systems, and it's interesting. I thought about it. It has to do with astrology, and it's good because you're going to have Sue on. This is good. About how, because remember, astrology again is a 360-degree. Like when you look at the circle, it's flat, right? But it's actually a 360-degree view of your whole system in your bubble. And at the time when you were born, and you can take that energy setup and progress it through different periods in your life, of course, right? I wanted to mention something about our systems in astrology and how this works. And it's something that my master taught me, my astrology master, and she did astrology for 50 years and in the day when you used to have to do it manual, she was probably one of the most known international cycles and trends experts in the world. How she told it to me, and this I can do by direct experience with myself as well, is that we all have a rising sign, Brian, when we're born, right? Now, what's so important about your rising sign is how throughout your auric field, which has to do with more your assemblage point, it's how you view the world and how the world views you. So all your other planets are internal to you, and they could be, your sun planets, your mind, just all of them have to do. They're very intricate and complex. But how she mentioned it to me is that rising sign gives you the wash on everything, how you view the world and how the world views you. So, for example, even though most of my planets are air sign and fire signs in behind, like my most important ones, my rising sign happens to be a water sign. So that gives my whole 360-degree of my whole self and auric field a water wash of compassion or water. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this to you in particular, and everybody just came to me because It's something I do and by experience. And this person asked, how can you connect or get more energy or a direct connection? And I'm going to explain this with the 4 different groups. Believe it or not, before I do a show and when I want to get direct connection, I submerge myself in water. I have a bath. Because when you do that and you close your eyes and you're in the water, you stop the rest of the world. And I connect through water because that's my rising sign. That's where my strength is. That's where I can connect. Stop this physical world and connect to everything outside of that. I do it through water. And that's why within my own experience, I stopped using a dishwasher in the 1990s because I found out that whenever I had my hands submerged in doing dishes in the dishwater, I was shifting every time out of my body and directly connecting to other areas and getting information. And the whole time I had my hands submerged while I was doing dishes. And that's because I use my water sign, rising sign, to connect and to use that to move my assemblage point around my auric field to go to different spots that house in my database everything I need to know and actually move it to the open chakra and up the crown. So I use water because it's my rising sign. Okay. Now I'll explain this, why it's important, why people should know the rising sign. And again, the people asked, well, what tools can we use? This is a simple tool to use. I use water. So example, if your rising sign is a fire sign, then you'll be able to shift and connect and with the energy into yourself by, say, sitting in front of a fire and doing fire gazing, right? Mm-hmm. And meditating with a fire. I'll give you a person that I know, for example, Nostradamus, whenever he did and shifted and went to his where do you think he got all his information is because he could shift his assemblage point or his point of awareness to anywhere on his 360 degree to get whatever information he wants and it houses all time, it's called. Everything exists all the same, right? So you'll have access to it all. And Diehold even explains all time, and so does the E8 emergence theory that we went over. Okay. So that it makes perfect sense that Nostradamus meditated and he did gazing by a candle. Of course, a flame.
So what about somebody that's all air like me?
No. So no, it's not all air. I'm all air. I'm all air and fire. But I'm explaining about your rising sign, and my rising sign's water. Nostradamus might have been fire. So, for example, if you have a rising sign that's earth, right? Mm-hmm. That's how you project in and out your whole auric egg. So if you have a rising sign of earth, if you want to connect and have more power, then you need to connect with the earth, and you need to have your feet planted in the earth and do earth type stuff.
But
so you need to go out in the forest and you need to sit in the earth. If you're an air person and have a rising sign for air, that means that you'll want to be in the mountains. Your companion ally is the wind. And you'll want to meditate and go where it's windy and use the wind as something or energy to shift you in your egg. And so I'm giving you tools. So if you want to find out your rising sign, you'll be able to definitely pick out the 4 elements that you can use as a tool and bring energy into your system. I use the water to definitely connect and energize me completely and open up my connection. That's what it's for. So, and Sue's coming on, and any astrologer, and that's the importance of the rising sign. So you can definitely use it as a tool.
Yeah, I know when she did my shamanic astrology, it was very important to have, the relatively close time, because that affects the rising sign.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And same with the correct time affects the moon position. And the moon position, of course, it's a fast moving planet, so it moves within every few hours or so, however that, so, and it has to do with emotions and a lot of things that way. So that's why it's very important to have your exact time if you can, right? But more so for that rising sign. So like I said, you can use your rising sign as a tool to gain energy, and that's how, like I said, within your auric field or your bubble that projects in and out of the world. And so that's why I definitely use water. I'm a rising sign. Water. So that's one tool for the person. Now the other person, let me see if I have something asked. I had another picture here maybe. about the auric fields and the, no, I guess that was it for that one. Yeah. Yeah, I thought I had another one, but that's okay. Okay, so now the other person mentioned, the question was he wanted some other tasks that you could do to gain energy.
I wanted
And
tips on expanding awareness or focus during an outer body experience.
oh, expanding awareness or focus during. Okay, so it sounds like yes, focus or intent, and what it is with each out of body experience or lucid dreaming, the more times you do it and the more power that you have within your energy system, and again, focus that you have, then you have more control. So that, for example, you then can travel to the same locations or the same spots on the other side of the veil. For example, I'm always brought or go to the same schools or classrooms with the same teachers on the other side, or you can meet up with other people. So yeah, as you gain more and more power, you have more control within your astral plane, just like you have more control within this physical plane when you have more energy or power. So it's exactly the same thing. So as people become more healthy here, you have more power, you have more energy, you have better health, you're balanced. In this plane, you can accomplish more. You can get more things done. You have power, in the tonal, or you have power. It's called stalking. So, and you stalk the world. And so on this tonal, and then you do the same in the astral. So as you gain more and more power and energy and understanding and knowledge, that astral plane and that other dimension, which is just as real as this or even more real, as you do, you can control that reality or that life just as we can or cannot control this life. I mean, as you know, most people walking around nowadays are known as the walking dead, because they're plugged in too much and they're looking in front at too much at that little iPad or that screen, and that's their whole reality. And they're completely plugged in.
So is that all the pictures you're going to share?
Yeah. I'm going to stop my screen sharing. Yeah, because stop sharing because I can. Yeah. So so something else as far as the outer body. Yeah. So as you gain more physical energy in this plane and can put more energy into your light body or your dream body or double, and the more practice you get, just like in this life, if you're wanting to learn a guitar or climb a mountain or do any task, it's the repetitive nature and the muscle memory and everything else that goes with that makes you successful and have those skills. So it's the same thing within the astral. It's the practice. It's the repetitive nature. It's the gaining the energy and knowledge, and that same thing. So now I thought of something else while I was floating in my tub here before, and this has to do again with your solar, like in the middle where your fibers come out of the middle and where your strength is. Okay. Mm-hmm. And this has to do with what I call magical passes and energy. And this is another task completely. Again, somebody asked, well, how can I gain more power? How can I gain more energy to lucid dream? How can I gain more power in my astral? Well, this is what we do. It's not by coincidence or by accident that we have all the esoteric groups of people always did things like, and I'm going to tell you again, Tai Chi, yoga, Kung Fu, all of these things that have to do with your core energy and your core muscles, okay? Mm-hmm. And all of those moves are called magical passes or moves to create your physical body or energy, but it's to actually, all of them is to strengthen your middle, your stomach muscle, your fibers, that part again, your assemblage point, your point of awareness, all of those are to strengthen that middle core so you can move your assemblage point. All of it. All of those are. Okay? So, no, really, because that's what you're doing. Think about it, Brian. Any exercise, it's,
right.
You're exercising your core.
Your
core. And what's your core? Well, it's this middle, it's your stomach muscle that's we're talking about, where all that energy and fiber, that's the part that you need to strengthen and to be able to move that move your assemblage point and your point of awareness. So as you gain more and more physical strength and do more exercise, and that's why I said it has to do with more core type exercising, belly dancing, for example. That's what I like to do, a combination of that and Tai Chi. And because it's been in my family for years, it's what women used to do. It's called the Belladie, or the dance of my homeland. And women used to do that to strengthen their core and open up their chakras, and the same thing, to have that direct connection. So if you want a stronger direct connection to everything that we talk about with lucid dreaming, astral travel, your higher self, your whatever, you need to strengthen your physical body, and you need to strengthen that middle core, that fibers that come out.
I got a quick question. Melanie Warland wants to know, which crystal can boost your ability to build energy? Currently using tourmalated clear quartz.
Oh, really? Rutilated or just double terminated, did you mean? Or with the kind with fibers, or the fibrous with the rutilated quartz? So it doesn't matter. All quartz is pretty good. But did she say, what did she want it specifically for? Balance, did you say?
Let me go back up and find it again.
Because different quartz are multi-purpose, of course. So
to build energy, your ability to build energy.
Okay. Yeah, most quartz crystals are good for that, and you can pick your favorite crystal, because when she talks about building energy, remember, it has to do with, I described as far as the loopback system. Remember, as far as energy. And our toroidal fields, we described when our scientific ones, we did more. And with the quartz crystal, any of the crystals will do. Clear is good. The Herkimer diamond's good. Clear crystals, anything like that, because they are a computer and they have the positive, negative charge. They do hold your energy. The more you hold your crystal, the more power it'll have of your own energy, and it'll create a loop back of energy within your system into the crystal. You can actually put your energy purposely into that and let it grow, and it will multiply and feed it back into you, an endless loop, your crystals. So the more energy and power you put into your personal crystals or personal power crystals, the more energy it'll give back to you. And you can actually use it to focus and move it to different parts of your own grid system to pull in memories and different information as well.
She said rutilated, though, by the way.
Yeah. So it has fibers in it of different, usually a metal, in it, shooting up from the crystal. Those are good. Like I said, it's mostly quartz, so crystals are good. And double terminated are really good, just as far as the loop back and far as the positive, negative. The double terminated means there's a crystal point on either end, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have like a broken end, right? So they're both formed, and more like a octahedron type shape, right? So that means that the crystal, the pattern, can go back and, it gets captured within the double terminated, and it has a better loop back pattern for capturing the energy for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, crystals are great for holding energy and power for sure.
They're good for setting up grids too, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Yeah, because of course they hold power and energy and frequency, and they can be programmed to hold. Because we've talked in other programs, Brian, that we were crystalline ourselves. So our whole structures, our whole systems. So yeah, and I find the crystals, again, it's all about intent and focus. Yeah. And I find the crystals and the energy help with intent and focus. And again, it's all about moving that assemblage point to where you want it, right? And having that intent and focus to be able to do that, or the energy to be able to do that. And crystals are great for that. They're great for focus.
Yeah, I would about bet, I've talked about before, like the pyramid, and there's a grid on it of Earth. And, there's a lot of speculation whether the capstones were made of gold or what. And there's also been speculation that they were made of crystal. I would almost guarantee that there was crystals at play in that.
Yeah, well, we've got to remember with the pyramids, the whole outer layer was a crystalline limestone sheath, and they use granites, which is crystal. Granite stones are 60%. And of course, they had the water source for the energy underneath. And then I think there was probably a bigger crystal in the middle somewhere.
See, that's what
had
I'm
a certain
thinking.
energy, and I think it's probably more. I shouldn't say it because I've had lots of downloads and other things, but I won't get into it. But it's more like that blue ray crystal that Diehold showed on the top of the Covenant, Ark of the Covenant. There, it's kind of like a blue. It's a special type crystal, and the capstone, in my opinion, gold. Yes.
Well, they even say in the Great Pyramid, like through the Grand Hall there or whatever, I think that's where it is, where it looks like it's basically been burned out. So, it's almost like it was a giant laser system or something, I don't know.
Plasma discharge, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, for sure. Because, lots went on, back in different time frames. Like, something else I have a picture of, and somebody just mentioned because of past history, and I even on my desktop keep a picture of the Rishat crater, because most people are pointing at it now, saying that it was probably Atlantis at the time because it meets all the descriptions and everything, and it shows an actual big kind of some kind of energy discharge, like a big nuclear plasma blast or a big explosion that left the concentric rings, and you could only see it from satellite. I can show it to you. I can share for a second. It's in Africa.
I was watching something.
It's in Africa in the desert here. I'll show it here.
Okay, yeah, I think I was watching something the other day that was actually talking about that.
Yeah. So the more I look at it as a geologist with my geology background and with the electric universe and with different other documents, I kind of here it is here. Can you see it?
Yeah. Well,
so look at that. I mean, it's got the concentric rings, and they go in the different directions as well, like a Z pinch or a blast if you follow electric universe, with a huge big plasma discharge of some sort, electrical discharge.
I mean, the next reset, we don't know how it's going to come out. I mean, there's proof all over the ocean floors and stuff that were the water displacement. So who knows where the water is going to end up? You don't even know if mountains will be mountains. They could be under the ocean, and the bottom of the ocean could be a mountain. Yeah,
well, I did show it. Remember one of our interviews we did last time? Remember I showed where Diehold had the oceans and the levels rising and falling. Remember we had the fossil. Remember the ammonite fossils that were on the edge, and they could carbon date them and showed the actual, with each of the 12,068 year cycle again, they actually showed that there was the actual rise and fall of hundreds of feet through each of those cycles up and down. And so most of our history is underwater right now.
Absolutely.
We don't have access to it. Although I've seen many videos where they do show all the big sunken cities just off the coast of like India and different places, so they do show them. They're
Oh, that's like, I've actually, thank God I recorded it, but I went on Google Earth. This was maybe a year and a half ago. And off the coast of Iceland, there's like this huge metropolis that you could still see on Google Earth. And there was this like miles long pictograph of a phoenix. But now, of course, Google has scrubbed it since then.
Yeah. And what I think, and all along, is I think it's always a combination of things, Brian. For example, even back then, it was probably a natural catastrophic event that our system goes through, including the Earth, which has a clock cycle. And, they're proving now that, we do have a reset or an end time. But I think also during this time, because of what we do ourselves and create as far as technology, we also create a big catastrophic event on top of that ourselves. And I think we did it in the past with this. And I'll give you an example. We're creating the same system today. Okay. And it's too late. unfortunately, because we've created the AI, we've created the computer system, we're putting in the 5G towers, which were the obelisks, which were our repeaters, and we really are recreating the system, okay? And if we come to any large catastrophic event at this time, Brian, what have we done? We have created nuclear plants all over the place that you could just have to go to Japan, right? And what happens if the grid goes down, if there's crustal displacement and all that? Well, all those nuclear plants are going to go off. Well,
it's amazing how many are right on the ocean.
Well, yeah, and on different, that's what I'm saying. So we're compounding it ourselves. So I think we did the same thing in the past. We're repeating cycles and patterns, right? So you have our natural disasters and catastrophic events, and then because of our technologies and what we create, and we did the same thing in the past, and we're going to do it here with the next big event. Well, yeah, and I think Greg Allison, if anybody looks at his channel, he's part of a board and kind of with NASA, and that was his big thing that he talks about all the time in his group, is because nobody wants to address all these nuclear plants, right, in case the grid goes down. And he even said that, there's something like only 9 main hubs that any terrorist or group, they all know them, and they could target them at any time, or any kind of event. And so then what? What are we going to do with all these nuclear plants, right?
Yeah, that's definitely going to be an issue coming up.
Yeah, so
it is.
Yeah, so I'll stop sharing. So what I'm saying is that unfortunately, we tend to recreate and go in the same cycles and patterns. And I think that Rachette crater that I just showed you is a big event that happened in the past. And I think Atlantis was part of that. And they created technology that, really made some big catastrophic things happen for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't understand this. Lila Star says, go back to just the 2 screens. YouTube is now replotting too much video. I don't understand what that means.
She said, go back to the 2 strings, or
I guess she's talking about the screen we're on now, but I'm not sure about the YouTube is now replotting too much video. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what she's saying, unless she's referring to that we were talking about when we do the crystal network, how we're going to program it to a certain frequency and vibration that we connect into, that we have our own frequency and a more, like you say, telepathic means to connect, right? Outside in case anything happens, for sure. And you have to, with the crystal network, of course, as we progress and as everybody raises their energy and they start learning how to, create and solidify their dream or astral double or energy double to be able to astral travel, we're going to be able to move together along the system we're creating. That's the whole idea. And eventually we're going to be able to go in groups, more than one person, in 2 or 3 or groups, or a very large group is the goal, to be able to dream the dream and astral travel and go to that point together and on the other side of the veil and see the grid and the tyrant, and be able to make some real changes within the system, and be able to use our power outside the current system that we're in a much more concentrated, direct way with some direct results. We're hoping. I'm hoping. I think we can. No, really, and that's the point, right? We wanna be able to travel together and astral travel and meet up in full awareness and power on that other side where we actually do reside, and wake up and do some magnificent things, hopefully, and make some direct changes on the planet, because it's time for a guard change, I'm going to call it.
It's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's time for a change of guard. Within the system that I was trained, we called the person a petty tyrant. It's within the Toltec or warrior system, and that's the person within this physical plane that does things in the negative, and people wonder, that always push you to look at yourself and to gain more power, and they're always a thorn in your side. But if you didn't have that, you wouldn't learn, move, grow, expand. It kind of pushes you in ways, but it's called a petty tyrant. But they hold you back and they hold you down until you use your power, and you have to force your way and force your own energy and make those changes. And at our physical plane, that's what it's called. But it's also called that at that level in the grid system just outside. And people want to call it different things, archons or whatever, but it's a tyrant. So it's the same thing. It's a tyrant that is holding our grid and our energy within a certain pattern system that we need to make a change to. So we need a changing of the guard. So, and that would bring us back to our golden age, right? Our years. That would be more known as our golden age.
I mean, do you ever think of it in the mind frame as like you're basically recreating a system that was already in place years and years and years and years ago with this crystal system?
That I'm doing, the crystal network?
Yeah, I mean, but
yes.
do you understand the
yes
magnitude?
Yes.
Okay.
I am. Yes, we are. We are. It's not just me, remember. I'm just because.
Oh, I know. Yeah, no,
it's very complicated. It's a group effort, but it's just because I was given the task of creating the crystals again, and how complicated it is. Because remember, the crystals we're going to be using were created in the astral plane with 2 other crystal dreamers, and brought forth here. So they do have a vibration from that side. That's why they're different, and whole pockets. And I did collect them all. They were given to me as a crystal diviner, but I've always done that, Brian. It hasn't changed for me because I have access to my auric field and my database by moving my assemblage point. And for me, it's all time. I've always done the same thing. It doesn't matter what life or when or where, whatever. I always am a holder of energy, the crystals, a record keeper, an analyst. I still did the same thing. I'm still with the computer programming and all of that, and how everything works. It hasn't changed. And I have the crystals. They were given to me to do this.
Well, I think every one of us in this community should represent ourselves as an ambassador, just personally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm, definitely. And so with that in mind, the crystals were given, and with this in mind, and it's with memory, and other people are coming forward from our group and community. That's the only reason I know it's correct and right. And we'll start together, and we can in our meetings, and you'll see that other people are remembering now, and they're having realizations and how everything fits together, and they're starting to ask to travel together on the other side. And it's just because I'm getting all that information from everybody else that is confirming everything we're doing, and that we have traveled it as a family in the past. We're gathering together as a soul family in a group. We've done this before, Brian. That's why we're connecting all the same people in the community, while we're all trying to energize ourselves, learn, expand, try to learn all this, because we've done it before, and we know it's really important that it's coming to a point where we have to do this again together to make a big change. So we're kind of all meeting up. It's not by coincidence. It's nothing's by random, and it's all based on those timing sequences and patterns and cycles that overlap all the time throughout history, throughout our existence, throughout our universe and galaxies, and however that works.
It's going to be a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is. It is. And like I said, we're going to be getting more and more information soon as it's coming up, as everything becomes
somebody was asking about information, and I told them I put out your email address. So
yeah, and like I said, we're going to be doing a series of podcasts and different things about direct updates and more information. Like I said, I'm putting the map together, hopefully, showing everybody where in the world everything's going already. Because hundreds of crystals have already gone out. Lots of the master crystals, I'm still sending a lot of those out and just how it works. So it's really coming together. It's just unbelievable what's happening, really. So we will get together for some, updates for sure. And like I said, most people interested in all those crystals, we're going to be having a bunch of series of meetings as well and chats through Zoom as groups too for real technical hands-on things. Okay.
Well, I'm sure I'll figure something out with Zoom before I have you back in a couple of weeks. So
yeah. So was there any hi everybody, and talk to like the hour already? Does there any questions? Does anybody have anything they want to ask, maybe, as far as
I think we pretty much covered everything I've seen. So good deal.
So that's probably like I said, there's several things that you can do to start moving your assemblage point and gaining energy and power and get out of ill health and disease or negativity. Everything's about balance, of course. Again, you want to interrupt the program. You want to start looking at your core and your inner core as far as your assemblage point and that energy as far as, any kind of physical exercise, eating, health. Look at that, because as you do gain energy on this physical plane, you will also gain more energy within your energetic or astral body. So look at all of those, any kind of task that will strengthen your inner core. Okay. So that's a good thing to do.
Her email is queenofquartz@netspectrum.ca. I wrote it in chat up above, Steve. So
okay. Or as well, you can go on to my website. It's just qofq hardrockminer.com, and you can look at my collection, look at the crystals, and
that's even better.
Anything like that. And of course, my contact and information's in there. And of course, anybody who hasn't got a hold of me, get a hold of me if you want crystals for the project, you want more detailed information, because yes, just to let you know, Brian, I do talk here, but then after the show, just so everybody knows, I get private contacts all over the world after with very specific questions, and I Skype people. I give them very special crystals to help move their assemblage point or unlock blocks, so in their core. So I do the Skypes, and I'm dealing with everybody as well on individual basis that need extra help. And I've been doing that for months and months. So it doesn't stop here, everybody. Just because you see me here and you email me, then I start working with everybody, because everybody that wants to be part of the crystal network, as you can see, we all have to be at the same type of frequency ourselves, each of our energy balls, right, or cells or bubbles, to connect into each other as well. And that's the crystal network, and the crystals themselves are going to help that as well with the same frequency. So so just so you know, it doesn't stop here with just me saying, well, email me about crystals, and
right.
No,
this is just the beginning.
It's just the beginning. And then I too recommend then people part of our community as well. It's just not myself again, Brian. It's our whole community. We have so many healers and empaths and sorcerers and wizards and all people that are full of power and magic. And then when people contact me, I then bring in 2 or 3 other people with gifts and know who to contact them, and as far as our group as well, so that I can say, oh, I'll get a hold of this person, or you need this, or different things. So it doesn't stop there. So it goes to everybody else in our community and group as well, depending what's required. Absolutely. We just want everybody to be at their full capacity and fully energized.
Yep. It's imperative. And, imperative. What you're putting in your body. Because I know, that's made a huge difference for me, just watching what I eat and, taking the fluoride out of my water, not drinking coffee and caffeine and stuff all the time. It makes a big difference. So.
And keep in mind, everybody, thinking is destiny, and what you think and thought is everything. Absolutely. You can change your energy and your aura and your perception in an instant by changing your thought.
Your thoughts create your reality.
It sure does. Yeah. So.
Well, thank you once again. Like I said, I can't wait to have you back in a couple of weeks. Okay. You stick with me right here, folks. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Tomorrow night will be the Trinity of Truth Saturday, and Kent and Trina will be joining, and may have special guests. You just never know with me. But until then, Be the frequency you want to receive. I love you all. Have a good night.